now, Colorado Representative Ken Buck, who's just been appointed as the ranking member of the House Antitrust Subcommittee. He's been a vocal critic of big tech and a proponent of breaking up some of it. Congressman Buck, thank you so much for joining us. You said on Twitter you plan to introduce your own antitrust legislation. What might that involve?
Well, I plan on working very closely with Representative Cicilline from Rhode Island, who is the chair of the Antitrust Subcommittee, and we have talked already about some of the different provisions that we would like to work on together. One of them is the portability of data, and that is that as we take our cell phone numbers from one cell phone company to another, we would be able to move our data from one search engine to another. So if we are searching on Google, we can take that data, we can move it to another search engine and hopefully create some competition in the marketplace so that Google doesn't have this 94% dominance on desktop searches. There are other issues that I think are really important when we talk about mergers and acquisitions. Facebook largely went unnoticed as it accumulated important business options like Instagram and WhatsApp. I think it's important that we not only look at the price when we consider consumer welfare, but we also look at the other impacts on the marketplace, such as innovation. And I believe that both Google and Facebook, Twitter, Apple, Amazon have all stifled innovation, partly by the mergers and acquisitions that they have engaged in.
Let's talk about Amazon, because the big news this week is Jeff Bezos announcing he's going to step down as CEO. There's speculation he just didn't want to deal with the regulatory scrutiny that was going to come his way. How big a bullet did he dodge, and what is in store for Andy Jassy, who will take his place?
Well, I think all 5 of the monopoly platforms are going to be scrutinized more carefully in the future than they have been in the past. I doubt that Mr. Bezos was worried about the scrutiny that he's going to receive. I think that this is going to take several years. It's going to take a year or more to get legislation through Congress, and then empowering the regulatory agencies, the enforcement agencies, like the Federal Trade Commission and the Antitrust Division at the Department of Justice. They will have to engage in these lawsuits. So some lawsuits have been filed, but any lawsuits involving some of the new statutes won't be filed until after those statutes pass. It will be several years before we really see the impact of what we're talking about doing today.
Attorney General nominee Merrick Garland, what sort of early readings are you get from him and the administration about how tough they're going to be on big tech?
Well, we've certainly heard statements coming out of the administration that they are concerned with these monopolies. They are concerned with the impact on small business, and I think that is refreshing. We really didn't know. The Trump administration had moved. The state attorney generals had moved. We're really waiting to hear, and I expect in the nominee, the attorney general nominees, hearings to confirm his nomination. We will see some of the statements and hear some of the statements that he has to make about this. I anticipate that this attorney general nominee will be supportive of these actions. And we've certainly heard back channel that the antitrust division is moving ahead on all of the actions that were initiated in the Trump administration.
Senator Klobuchar's bill today would make it much harder for big tech companies to buy startups and also easier to bring monopoly cases. Is there anything in there that Republicans, that you are ready to support?
I certainly haven't had time to scrutinize Senator Klobuchar's bill. I am encouraged that this effort will not only be bipartisan, but also bicameral. I have not heard from the Republican side in the Senate whether there is really a joint effort in the Senate to do that. I'm assuming that there is, but certainly on the House side, it will be bipartisan. We have a number of measures that we were looking at the end of last year, and the Senator Klobuchar's bill will certainly help us in terms of framing issues that can go over to the Senate and be scrutinized I'm sure they will already have hearings by the time we get legislation passed in the House.
So, look, I know you have a lot of work to do, but you've already taken a close look at these companies. If you think about Amazon, Apple, Google, Facebook, is there one of those that to you presents the best case, the biggest case for a breakup?
Well, I don't know. The enforcement agencies, the Federal Trade Commission, the Antitrust Division, have to decide on what the remedy is. What Congress does is pass laws, and certainly we need more competition in the marketplace for all five of the monopoly platforms. I would add Twitter to that scenario also. But Google and Facebook have probably been the biggest actors when it comes to the mergers and acquisitions area, as well as stifling competition in the marketplace. And I think that there are a number of lawsuits pending now with companies that have been squeezed out of the marketplace. There are also a number of state actions that have been brought on behalf of companies and the consumer. And so those two, I think, are really targets that we will be learning a lot more about and crafting laws that address some of the issues that have been raised by those companies.
All right. Congressman Ken Buck of Colorado will be watching to see the moves you make on big tech. Thanks so much for joining us. All right, coming up.